Delivered with what looked like a smile there, defaced the nation. It's obviously the media versus President Trump. Well, who's winning? Let's bring in Media Buzz host Howard Kurtz. I think I can frame it like the president versus the media. It sure looks like it. So I think my question is valid. Who's winning, Howard?
Deface the nation. Who does that?
Look, classic Trump.
Donald Trump won this round absolutely hands down. I mean, first he kind of kicked sand in the face of the press by blowing off the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which I went to, and is very sort of flat, and, you know, our big star wasn't there, and so journalists actually had to talk to each other. But then he does this total media blitz. He has the rally, the counter-programming rally on Saturday night, beats up on CNN and MSNBC, calls out the dishonest media, having a great time, and he does this media blitz. He was with Fox, CBS, and others, and clearly he's getting most of the attention for his argument that the press is unfair, and particularly unfair to his White House.
It's kind of a soft target, though, isn't it? I mean, the media has been largely unpopular for a long time, and it's very unpopular now. I mean, the president really can't lose this one, can he?
Well, you know, there are lots of people who don't like this president who want the media to be more aggressive in holding him accountable. You know, being at that White House Correspondents' Dinner, there was all this self-congratulatory rhetoric about the role of the free press and holding the president accountable. Fine, you know, it's kind of an industry convention. But what was really missing, except for Bob Woodward, who appeared with Carl Bernstein, he at least had a passage in his speech about the fact that the media are making too many mistakes and that our credibility is at an all-time low, in part because of the perceived hostility toward President Trump. I think that has to be part of the equation. But, yeah, there's no question that it is the media versus President Trump, and so far, at least in the last few days, I would say he had the upper hand.
For a moment, Howard, would you just take a quick look at Jeff Bezos and his net worth? It's around about it's $82 billion, and it's up just $11 billion since the election. Now, Jeff Bezos, as you know, Howard, he owns and runs the Washington Post. So here you have Jeff Bezos owning the newspaper, which is the biggest, I'm going to say the biggest hater of Donald Trump, where its owner, Jeff Bezos, is the biggest gainer from Donald Trump's election. Now, I'd call that a contradiction. What do you say?
Well, I don't agree with the biggest hater label, but Donald Trump has complained to me a number of times saying the reason Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post was that he could use its influence to help Amazon. I haven't seen much evidence of that because Bezos is not really very much involved in the newsroom, but there's no question that his net worth shooting up and is part of the Trump bump. Amazon stock more valuable, like that of most companies. However, after all those years where Wall Street dissed Bezos and thought Amazon would never be a moneymaker, I don't think Trump gets all the credit, but in the short term, Bezos clearly benefiting from the surge on Wall Street.
Is there any... Look, I always think of the Washington Post as the political newspaper. It certainly used to be. I mean, it covers the nation's capital, the political capital. I always thought of it as the political newspaper in the United States. Is its reputation and credibility slipping a little? Because it really is contemptuous of this president.
Well, I would argue not as much as some news outlets. For example, Stuart, when President Trump put out the tax cut plan and tax reform plan, the Post had a fairly neutral headline, Trump aims big to reform taxes. The New York Times 5-column headline across the top of the front page about how Trump tax plan would aid the wealthy. Now, we can debate how much it aids the wealthy versus the middle class, but that was a news story, not an editorial. And that was one example, I think, where the Post, at least in this instance, played it straight.
Every time we conclude these interviews, every Monday morning, I say the same thing. Ain't never seen anything like this before. And you always smile and say, you know, Stuart, you're right. Say it again.
Seems like we should be getting used to it by now, but it's still, it's like a fire hose. There's so much news to drink from.
You got it.
Good to see you, as always.
Thank you very much for being with us, Howard Kurtz. We'll see you again soon. Thank you, sir.